Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. We're doing a gymnastics for dummies and today we're going over the giants on bars. So let's get into the video. We're going to be watching two of my gymnasts from their last meet about a month ago where we're just going to dive into their giant flyweight. I'm going to point out some things, show you guys some things, some key techniques and how that's going to affect your dismount. Okay, so right here, my first girl, she is coming out of her free up. So she is going to be coming from just a 45-degree angle. So you'll notice right here as she's coming down for her giant, she is arching just a little bit earlier than I would like her to. We want to be scooping down to the low bar, our feet going towards the low bar in a nice tight hollow, pushing against that bar. Our eyes should be looking at the low bar. And if you are a girl that's a little bit taller or you straddle for whatever reason, you have to look at the low bar to know when to straddle, when to arch. It's a timing thing. And honestly, it just makes it easier, but you have to learn how to look at the low bar. So after she goes through her giant right here, she begins that arch. As she's kicking, you see the toe scoop, and now she's starting to kind of press her hips open to get over the bar, and that's not exactly what you want to do. And you'll notice the reason that she has to pull her hips over the bar is because look at her shoulder angle. Right now it is closed, so she's having to pull her hips over the bar in order to make that giant. Instead, she should just be scooping in a nice tight hollow. She should be making that giant longer, meaning she should be stretched against that bar. I always talk about, think about touching your toes on the floor, touching your toes on the ceiling, really making your body as tall as possible in that giant. This will help prevent that shoulder angle right there. Another thing that's going to help with this shoulder angle is where are you shifting? Where is your shift timing? Where is your scoop timing? Now you don't want to shift too early because then you're probably not going to make the giant, but you definitely need to be kicking the toes and continue that toe over right now. And you need to pull with the chest in a nice tight hollow. Think of a back extension roll, really popping off your upper back, having open shoulders, just a rounded back, almost like a turtle shell in a way for a visual. So right here, as she arches over, you can see that it causes a big arch in her back, her head is out, and then her shift, she's having to kind of bend her elbows and then shift her wrists. So this is going to end up, causing some deductions. And do you see how her belly button is leading her over the bar? We don't want the belly button leading us. That means if the belly button's the first thing going over the bar, we want that belly button sucked into our spine and we want our toes pulling us over the bar, almost making like a C, the letter C, scooping over the bar. People that do this really well, one person that I would highly encourage to watch on their giants is Trinity Thomas. Trinity Thomas, she's beautiful in general, but her giants on bars are really good. And if you're a girl, I would look into that. Even as a girl, I would look at boy giants. Boys do giants very interestingly. They really over exaggerate their body positions. And there's a reason boys are able to do the most amazing things on high bars because they are gaining so much power out of their giants, and especially going into their dismount, they do that last giant really piked and scoop. Now, as a girl, you don't need to do that and we don't want to do that, but I'm just trying to give you a visual idea of what it looks like to really pull your toes over the bar and really scoop. So going into her second giant, I want her toes down a little bit more, but how you can get this toe down goal is making sure your tailbone is tucked under. And the best analogy that I can give is if you were ever spanked as a child and you suck your butt in before you get spanked, that's essentially the same feeling. Is you want to suck that butt in, suck your tailbone under, and feel around from the top of your spine all the way to the end of your tailbone in your giants, and this will help pull those toes down. Her second giant is better. You can see her arch right there. This is a pretty good arch. I like this arch. Notice where she's arching. She's arching in between the two poles right now, and I kind of give that visual for my kids. You have, a circle. You have a whole pie. About 75% of that pie is going to be hollowed. The last 25% of that pie, that's when your arch is going to happen, and it has to happen at a specific time below the bar. And that degree for me is right under the bar, you're arching and you're holding that arch all the way through those two poles of the bar. And once you pass those two poles, you can start kicking in that hollow. See, this scoop shape is really good. I like this scoop shape of her. I wish she would have just kept it like that the whole entire time, but instead of pulling, and it's going to cause ab strength in order to do that, lower back strength, just about any type of strength. but she needs to keep pulling in that scoop. But instead of holding that hollow, she starts to try to compensate because maybe a little bit of lower ab weakness. There's a lot of factors that could go into that. It could be fear, it could be comfortability, whatever. But she starts to just pull her belly over the bar. So this is going to cause her elbows to bend, her shift to be a little bit awkward, the belly to be sticking out. So as she finishes that giant, time to gear up for the layout. She lets go at a very nice time. Notice how she's letting go in the candlestick. Notice where her eyes are to her toes. Her toes are up in that candle, straight up to the ceiling. And then she lets go for the flyway. And then she just kind of floats down to that ground. She should have opened up her arms a little bit sooner in order to not take that step, but a pretty good dismount. My second girl right here going into her giants. Her giants are pretty good. I wish she had a little bit more shape in her roundness. She just kind of looks like a flat board right now. I wish her tailbone was a little bit more tucked under and that she was a little bit more hollowed going down right here. A little bit more hollowed. She arches at a very good time, and that's that part where I was talking about. She's arching right below the low bar, and now she's going to keep arching all the way through to the bar. She kicks a little bit early for me. Notice where she's starting to hollow. She's starting to hollow right past the bar. I would prefer her just to hold that arch a little bit longer. So really wanting to hold the arch past the 8-incher that you see right here. So as she's passing that 8-incher, I would prefer that's when she starts the arch kick. She does it just a little bit early. It's not too bad, but just a little bit later. And see how she's pulling. Hers is still a little bit arched, but she is trying to hold that hollow a little bit longer than the girl before. And you can still see her belly button leading just a little bit, but it is better. So hopefully you can see the difference in those two. Her shift timing is pretty good. Her shape is pretty good. It's just needing to hold that hollow right here. She's actually just a little bit piked, so she just needs to squeeze her booty a little bit tighter coming around the giant. And then she has a very good layout dismount. Good tap right there. Takes those toes up. Really floats. Lifts those arms up. Perfect timing. And ends up sticking the landing. So overall, good giants, especially for beginner level 7s, but they did differ in technique, so I hope you can see that. But just to recap, you really want to make sure when you're falling into the giant that you're in a nice tight hollow. When you get past that low bar, that's when it's time to arch. Here's your 25 degrees of arching, boom, boom, boom. We get right where the poles of the bar are, and you get your toes past your 8-incher or your 4-incher, whatever mat you're going to be landing on. When your toes, if the mat's here, and your toes are starting to sweep right here, start that hollow kick, hollow over that bar, and get right back to that hollow position that you were just in. Also making sure when your toes are coming over the bar, you want your shift to be a little bit later. If you shift too early, you're probably going to fall. So if you're struggling with making giants, this is probably why. You're probably just shifting a little early, or you're shifting at the wrong time. So just make sure when your toes, if the bar is here and as you're doing your giant and your toes are coming over the bar, that's when you want to start shifting. Again, go watch Trinity Thomas's giants. You will see her shift happen so late. She really scoops her giants. I'll actually try to put it in right here so you can see, but right here you can see she's just hollowing so well. She hollows right over the bar, and look how late her shift timing is. It's just so sharp, it's so late, and it's really important that you have a good shifting timing in your giant. That's again another reason a lot of kids struggle with making giants, is we're just shifting at the wrong time, and the shift is what that wrist movement is. It's going from this position to flexing. So just make sure you have a good shift timing in your giant, and make sure that the majority of your giant is a nice tight hollow. Your arch is basically like a slingshot. You have to arch your body at the right time, hold it long enough, be tight enough, and kick at the right time to pop yourself over in that giant, just like a slingshot. The tighter you pull that slingshot back, the more it's going to fly. Same thing if you're giant. If you're barely arching, you're barely kicking, you're probably not going to be able to get over the bar very well. But if you're really being dramatic in that arch, and you have a nice tight armpit, nice tight belly, nice tight butt, and you're primarily kicking your arch from your upper body, and you'll notice here in Trinity's giant too, she is arching her lower back a little bit, but you'll notice that the arch is primarily just in the center of her body and kind of in the upper body. And you really want to, in your giants, to be pulling your armpits open, pulling that head forward just like your slingshot, and then you slingshot your toes over the giant, and you should be able to make it pretty easily, and if not, every single time. All right, guys, I hope that helped you. Let me know what you think. Thank you so much for supporting my YouTube channel. Please continue to support my channel. It takes time to make these videos. I am more than willing to make these videos for you guys. I love helping you guys. I love the comments. I love seeing that it's helping you guys, but I do need your guys' help and support to continue to make these videos, getting the subscribers, getting the likes that I need to encourage me to keep going. Like I said, it does take time, but I do enjoy it and I do enjoy helping you guys. So please continue to support me, share this, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.